What is something you thought was really important when you were younger, but as you got older, you realized it wasn't that important?
At the end of the day, if you love yourself, that's all that matters.
As the years go by, you have less time.
You look forward and it is not infinite like it is when you're young.
Have you ever lost someone you really love?
My mother actually passed away today.
Sometimes I still think that. I think, I'm going to call. I can't.
Is there anything you miss about her?
Just her voice, and you don't get to hear it anymore.
Have you ever wondered what life advice some of the oldest yet wisest people in the world would give you? Well, in this video, I flew all the way to Newport Beach, California and interviewed people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. We talked about their biggest regrets, greatest lessons, and advice for the younger generation. And my biggest takeaway from these interviews is to appreciate every single moment I have with my loved ones, because tomorrow isn't promised to any of us. But there's quite literally hundreds of years of wisdom in this video, so let's get into it. How old are you?
66.
How does it feel to be 66?
Doesn't feel any different than being 40 or even 35. You just happen to be a little bit older, that's all.
Inside, I feel exactly the same way I did when I was 21. I have a hard time accepting that I'm older than that because you look forward and it is not infinite like it is when you're young.
How old are you?
71.
What's your secret for looking so great at 71?
Positive outlook on life. You make life what it is, and if you're negative, then you're going to have a negative life.
What is something you thought was really important when you were younger, but as you got older, you realized it wasn't that important?
When I was younger, I thought that money was everything because I grew up with not a lot of money, put myself through college, and then I started making a little bit of money. I realized that it really isn't as important. Everyone finds happiness in different kind of ways, and you need money to survive, but it's not everything. You could have all the money in the world and not be happy.
Have you been able to find happiness?
Yeah, I have 4 kids, and for me, I was adopted and kind of grew up in an orphanage, and so found my biological parents and went through that whole kind of journey. And so for me, being a good parent, balancing that with all the other challenges and kind of things going on in your life was a difficult balancing act. So I feel like I've achieved that, and I wake up every morning happy.
You know, when you're younger, you think you can learn anything and everything. But as you get older, you realize you have to set priorities. You can't learn everything. You can be exposed to everything, but you have to focus on something that's important. As the years go by, you have less time. So you have to think, okay, what's valuable? So, I thought, someday I'm going to learn to be fluent in French. So I started taking French lessons. I'm never going to be fluent in French, so I'm going to give that up and focus on something I can accomplish.
So instead of trying to do all these different things and being all over the place, focus on one thing and stick to it.
Yes. Then you see accomplishment. Like, how do you know if you want to race if you don't know where the end point is? So if you set some goals and you reach them, then you've accomplished something.
What is something you thought was really important when you were younger, but as you got older, you realized it wasn't that important?
Materialistic stuff. When you're young, you want all the stuff and all the name brands, and as I've gotten older, I've realized it's not the things in your life, it's the people in your life.
So what were some materialistic things that you wanted to get, and then when you got them, you realized they didn't make you happy?
Oh man, when I was in my 20s, I had a dollar amount in my head, and I just knew if I hit that dollar amount, I'd be happy and set for life. And I've hit that dollar amount, I've lost that dollar amount, I've hit it again. It was when I lost it and got it back, I realized that it only made me happy for about 2 seconds, and then I immediately was like, it's not the money or the things, it's the people.
Being liked by other people. Just be yourself and just do what you want to do, and it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks about you. At the end of the day, if you love yourself, that's all that matters. It doesn't really matter who likes you or not.
When I was younger, I thought knowing who I was and what I was going to do was really important. Career was really important. And now I realize that was not very important. I got a PhD only because I liked the process, not because of what I got from the end.
So what is important in life?
Your good friends, family, your brothers and sisters.
Without a doubt, family, because they're with you your life. It's a unit, and it's people you can count on.
What is something you regret the most in your life?
I missed my aunt and uncle's anniversary, and it was up in Portland, and I lived in California, and everybody talked about it. And I missed my nephew's wedding, and it was a big event in New York, and some of those people have passed, and that couple has moved away, and I missed it.
Have you ever lost someone you really love?
Yes, my husband, my mom. Today is the anniversary of my mom's passing, and that's kind of why we're here. You never get over it.
You still haven't gotten over it?
No. think about her all the time.
What do you love the most about her?
Oh, it's just your mom. It's like your arm. You just feel like it should always be there. When you think about her, you want to call her. It's her birthday, it's something you're happy about, you want to call her. Sometimes I still think that. I think, oh, I'm going to call. Oh, I can't.
So what do you miss the most about her?
This is funny. The first thing that pops in my head is hugs. Nobody feels exactly like your mom. That warm, fuzzy hug.
What is something you really wanted to say to your mom that you never got a chance to tell her?
I would say I wish I understood you better and had more empathy for the position that you were in and maybe sat down and said, how do you feel? Really picked her brain. You kind of make this assumption that your mom will always be there, and they're not.
When your parents start to pass away, I think it really drives home to you how old you're getting and how, more importantly, that tomorrow is not promised to anybody. And so that we have to live every single day, get the most out of it that we can, and experience the most experiences that we can, and share as much love as we can.
So if you could have a conversation with your dad right now, what would you tell him?
I would just tell him I miss him. That would be the one thing I would tell him.
What do you miss the most about him?
Just the phone conversations and the little things. And also, like I said, when you get to that age, I'm the oldest kid, so you start to look at your life and you're next in line for that conceptually. So that's been a tough thing to deal with, but it's the cycle of life.
My mother actually passed away today.
What is something you really wanted to say to her that you never got a chance to say?
Well, I told her I loved her, but I think I didn't thank her enough for being a great mother. And that's something you just don't know until it's probably too late.
Is there anything you miss about her?
Just her voice, and you don't get to hear it anymore.
What's one big mistake you've made that you learned a valuable lesson from?
Marrying my ex-husband. I feel like he was very controlling, and I learned that I didn't want that in my life.
How long were you with him?
7 years.
And when did you realize that he was controlling and you wanted to leave?
After about 6 months. But I stuck it out for a long time.
What's the reason you stayed in it longer than you should have?
To prove my family wrong. And they were right, and I was wrong. But I just, like you have that pride and you don't want to leave, and you're just like, I'm right. No, they were right.
What is one big mistake you've made that you learned a valuable lesson from?
I think I wasted a lot of my time on things that weren't very productive. You work hard on some relationships and they don't pan out. You feel a lot of disappointment. So you have to learn to move on. You're not going to be successful in everything. And so you have to kind of take what you have and learn to give up things that you really can't hold on to.
So what is a relationship you held on to that didn't work out?
Like high school friends. I still keep in touch with some of my high school friends, and that was before the internet and before cell phones and keeping touch. And people change. It's like my husband said, life is like a train ride. You're on the train and some people get on and you sit and talk to them, and then later they get off the train and you have to continue your journey without them. But new people come on the train and you kind of sit with them for a while. Some people take the whole ride with you, and some just only part of the journey.
Yeah, that's so important to notice that, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because sometimes we get so caught up with that one friend or that one relationship, we don't want to let it go, but sometimes it's better for us to move on.
It's a two-way street. You can try and try, but sometimes it's not going to work because the other party's not working at it. And so you have to realize, okay, be happy that you had it, but let it go if you must.
So if you could give one piece of advice to someone younger than you, what would you say?
I would definitely say talk to your parents, keep picking their brain, because those moments aren't always there. And there's something about your brain that doesn't comprehend that somebody who's been with you since birth will be gone one day.
Don't sweat the small stuff and focus on finding that joy and your purpose in life, because the happiest people, irregardless of their bank account balance, have found that purpose. And for some people it's sports, other people it's business, for some people, whatever it might be for each individual. But focus on finding that joy and that purpose in your life.
Don't be afraid to try things. Today I do a career and a job that I absolutely love, that I never in a million years would have thought I would have ended up at. And don't be afraid to try different things. Be open to new experiences and new people and new things.
I would have told her to aim higher. I don't think we realize when you're younger how we can be influenced, or we don't open ourselves to being influenced and seeing things that are possible. And if you don't know what's possible, then you don't try to achieve it. So I think I would advise young people, explore, see what's out there. Don't be too limiting. Don't always stay in your own neighborhood. Kind of go out in the world.
That's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you learned from hearing these interviews, and I'll see you in the next one.